Parents, imagine if you were told 1 year ago today that your children would be going back to school today after a prolonged period of absence, that for the previous year they would have been out of school more often than in school, and that the condition for them going back to school now would be that they had to have a cotton bud stuck up the nose twice a week, and they had to wear a face mask covering their face all day while at school. What would you have said to that? What would you have said? Now, just quick disclaimer. I know that neither the testing or the face masks are compulsory or mandatory, but as we all know, they're being strongly encouraged and there's a hell of a lot of coercion going on. But again, what would you have said? Would you have said, this isn't the United Kingdom. We don't treat our children like this. Or would you have just acquiesced and agreed to allow your children to be subjected to these measures? Because that's where we are right now. I no longer recognise this country and this society in the United Kingdom anymore. I do not. I think we are so far removed from values such as freedom, decency and liberty, and values such as ensuring that children, vulnerable people and old people, but particularly children, are looked out for and are treated with respect. Now, we know what the conversation around this is and what the alleged reasons for why these measures are necessary. But again, I'm going to ask parents, unless you have got a really, really strong and coherent and convincing argument as to why you agree with these measures and think that it is justified to ask children to undergo a very uncomfortable test twice a week. And I know, because I had to get it once myself before operation, it's highly uncomfortable. And to cover their faces for 8 hours a day. All in the name of defeating a virus that, almost without exception, does not affect them. Unless you've got a really, really strong and convincing argument for that, why would you be agreeing for your child to participate in these tests? Now, am I missing something here? Because as far as I can see, children are being let down in the most unimaginable, incomprehensible way. I put myself, not so long ago, in the shoes of a 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old. And I can only imagine I'm going to use the word horror, actually, that would be my experience at having to do this. I wouldn't have the confidence to say no. I'd be intimidated, I'd be scared, but I'd feel the peer pressure and I'd probably go along with it anyway. And God knows psychologically how it would have affected me. Do you know, in any more sane, rational, humane age, school children would be protesting at the gates of schools, demanding that their children be at school where they should be for their education, and even more so for the social interaction and for the social development that school brings. For me, more important than the education is the ability to develop friendships, to learn social skills, to have a laugh, to do stuff that kids do. Like I say, in any age that wasn't so far removed now from basic human values, that's what would be happening. And in any more sane age, there wouldn't even be a conversation around mass testing of schools involving a very uncomfortable test and the wearing of face coverings. It wouldn't even be entering the equation. It wouldn't. So that's why I want to ask, first of all, is fair enough if somebody can make a coherent, convincing and elucidate a very, very clear argument as to why this is necessary, why children should be subjected to measures in the name of protecting the population from a virus I get what the argument is, breaking the chains of transmission and all that. Why involve children though? Give me the reasons, give me the justification why children need to be involved in these measures when the virus, as we know and as the statistics clearly demonstrate, does not affect children of that age. Why weaponize them? Why? I really hope, I know that there is some opposition amongst parents to this, but I get the sense there's nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough. I can certainly see as well, like with a lot of other of the measures that have been put in place now, blind obedience, acceptance. But hold on a minute, this isn't you we're talking about now. We are talking about children who do not have the experience, the authority and the assertiveness and the confidence to be able to make decisions for themselves. It is on parents. Are there enough parents in this country who are A, intelligent enough and B, emotionally intelligent enough to be able to protect their children from the hand of the state, a state that has too much power and is absolutely dangerously out of control? Do people realise this? Well, I want to use this video to talk about some ways in which we have let down children in a way that, like I say, is unimaginable, is not befitting of the United Kingdom. This isn't who we are. How much have we degraded as a society? It is absolutely unbelievable. So, all right, what are the various different ways? I'm just finding a little passage here from that I've written down that I just need to find for a little bit later on in this video. Number one, though, is, first of all, engagement and our children as stakeholders. All of us in society now, we're not really stakeholders, democratic stakeholders. We've had no say in the, no consultation in the decisions that have been made as a result of the Coronavirus Act. However, what we have done en masse is just accept, oh, they know best. Okay, in the name of safety, we'll accept whatever measures have been imparted. However, children, we're not talking about what you want on the menu for your school dinners here. We're talking about a wholesale change to their routine in their life and an implementation of mass testing and a measure involving face covering that is a massive departure from what they are used to. Have they been consulted? No, they haven't. Are children playing an active role in society at the moment? Are they feeling like they've got a voice? I would suggest no, they're not. Number one, children are not having a say in their society. Number two, we really do live in a depraved age, honestly we do. I've done a video before, a few weeks ago, about adverts. I don't watch the TV anymore. I watch Netflix. I don't watch the TV. One of the reasons I don't, let's put aside the fact most of the TV now is absolutely moronic, is the advertisements. I can't bear them. I can see the overt and the subliminal brainwashing and indoctrination through advertisements. But I do, sometimes when I'm in work, I'll listen to the radio and I'll switch it off when the adverts come on. But sometimes I'll listen, and I've talked about adverts before, as I say on a previous video. I think it's called What Do Adverts Teach Us About Society? However, what I've noticed is children are being used as propaganda tools. They're being used more and more and more to sell things. Companies are using children to communicate with adults. I think this is something to do with the fact that we as adults have lost our way so much with regard to having good conversations that we're letting children do it for us now. So yeah, I don't like that. Products that are marketed and aimed at adults and children being used to sell them. I think there's something wrong with that. I really don't like it at all. In a similar level, propaganda, children are weaponised as propaganda tools. I remember in the early days of the coronavirus, pandemic. I always put it in inverted commas because, let me say it again, the government downgraded the coronavirus pandemic to a non-high consequence infectious disease on the 19th of March, 4 days before the first lockdown. Let's not forget that. Anyway, it was a video created by the SNP, obviously headed by that lovely lady Nicola Sturgeon, and I saw it on, someone sent it to me, and it was a link on Twitter, and I clicked on it. It chilled my blood. It was like something from North Korea. It said that it was a lot of school children who were filmed, and it said, "The children of Scotland would like to say thank you to Nicola, our First Minister of Scotland, our dear leader, bloody hell. We are so grateful. Thank you for always keeping us safe, working so hard and being strong for us. Thank you for caring for every individual life and for always thinking about the children of Scotland. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, thank you, thank you." It was disgusting, despicable, clear propaganda. It was absolutely horrendous. This is how children are being used at the moment. So yes, they don't have a stake in society. They're being used as propaganda. A third way, we are absolutely terrorising children, as evidenced again by the fact that they are coerced to wearing face masks. Those God-forsaken face masks, mass testing. There has been a level of fear that has been unprecedented in society in the last 12 months. Everyone has been affected by it to different degrees. However, children who haven't properly developed the cognitive abilities, the experience, their worldview. Don't get me wrong, most adults haven't developed a worldview either, as we've seen in the last 12 months. Children, though, are completely innocent, and they have been fed a diet of fear. Whether overt or whether subliminal, subconsciously, maybe by their parents, but certainly by society, by the media, like I say, by constant government indoctrination, all the time. That is unfair. Fear does terrible, terrible things to the individual and to society. Until you can unpick it and understand it, what's going on a psychological level, which for me took a long, long time. For children, they're not old enough to even begin to figure out. And I want to talk again about the propaganda and how it links to fear. I want to talk about a character, Greta Thunberg. Now, Greta Thunberg, an autistic child, okay, she's 18 now, I think maybe 19, but she's been in the public eye ever since she was 14, 15. She was a child weaponised by the powers that be to scare other children into submitting to an ideology. What ideology, I hear you say? The ideology of climate change. Now, this is yet another debate in society that is censored. Now, I'm going to do another video about how I see society evolving over the next 10 years. And I think that we are being conditioned as societies to accept measures all in the name of the greater good for our safety. And I think what we've seen so far is going to be nothing compared to what is going to be asked of us in the name of stopping climate change. When I look back, when I think to the last 10 years, maybe longer, but certainly the last 10 years, in the mainstream media, there is zero, and I mean zero, nil debate, absolutely no debate whatsoever about climate. It is taken as read, it is accepted as fact that climate change is happening, i.e. the planet's warming, and that it is because of the actions of us, of mankind. This is extremely dangerous. I also notice as well, pretty much everyone I talk to accepts it. And the reason they accept it is because they've been told wholesale that it's happening. Most people don't have an understanding of climate, even the most basic understanding of weather. Now, I'm saying this with maybe a little degree of authority because I am a bit of a weather geek. I'm very interested in the weather. I always have been. A little bit less so in climate, but I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about. I'm very interested in the weather. I often say to people, okay, if the climate's changing, What climate does the UK have? What is our climate category in the UK? What are we moving away from and toward? People talk about climate change without having information from both sides of the debate. And the reason is because there is not another side of the debate. Just in the same way that if you voted Brexit, you were a racist. If you liked Trump, you were a xenophobe. If you are against lockdown, you're a COVID idiot. And if you think that there needs to be a debate, not even challenge, if you think there needs to be a debate on the climate change debate, you're a climate change denier. We live in an age, whatever the opposite of an age of conversation is, I guess an age of ignorance. We live in an age of ignorance and acquiescence. There is nothing more complicated, and I mean nothing, than weather and climate. It is so, we have only just scraped the surface of what there is to understand about weather and climate. There are trillions upon trillions upon trillions of calculations needed in order to form a picture of weather and climate. There are so many different ways to measure weather and climate change. It is, if there's one thing that there needs to be a debate about, let alone a debate before huge decisions that already have impacted and are going to impact the way we live our lives, it is climate. But it's been censored, I would say, in preparation for some measures to have to be brought to the fore at some point in the future, so that society is already psychologically conditioned this needs to happen. Well, no, I am not denying that there's been climate change. In fact, if you want my opinion, I would probably agree on balance that the planet has heated up in the last few decades. However, I don't see any evidence that it's caused by man's activities. And I think there's a lot of evidence to the contrary. And I want there to be a debate on this. But no, it's not. So go back to Greta Thunberg. Okay, so she's the figurehead, the puppet. She's relatable to children because she's a child herself. And she's used to spread fear. Anyone with half a brain can look at Greta Thunberg. She's autistic. She's obviously very, very terrified. She believes in what she talks about, and that much is clear. Anyone with half a brain would feel sorry for Greta Thunberg, would see that she's being used by the establishment. It's so obvious, would see that she's being weaponised, that she's being taken advantage of. Hers is a life that is being wasted, really, because she is a figurehead for an ideology that is being used to scare children into acquiescing and accepting whatever happens next. And that is a terrible way that children are being scared that the planet's burning up, and that if we don't do something, that in 10 years time we're all going to be up in flames. So it's not, I don't think it's a very nice time for children at the moment. I really do. In fact, I think it's terrible. Yeah, we're not living in a wartime, although history may reflect on this as well. War 3, a war of information and propaganda waged on citizens, one which affects children disproportionately. We really have forgotten as a society our role to look out and protect the next generation. We really have. It's disgusting, disgraceful, and despicable. And number 4, the last reason how we are letting children down. I don't know which way this is going to go now, but because of all those reasons I've just gone into, the end result, I would suggest, is going to be one of two things. Either children in a few years' time, when they grow up, are going to have such little faith in the structures that have governed our society for so long, in politics, in democracy itself, that they are going to rebel, abandon the system. What comes next, I don't know, but to have too many people who have no trust whatsoever in governance and politics is dangerous. Or we are breeding a generation of brainwashed zombies who will happily accept and acquiesce to anything that they are told to do, who have too much respect for authority, and who don't grow up with the very, very important values of individuality, authenticity, and things like that that a society needs. So again, I am shocked beyond belief at everything that's happened in this past year. I'm shocked. I am shocked. I don't see a rebellion from parents. I just don't see it. I know that there are some sensible ones who've got half a brain, who are looking out for their children and who will refuse to comply with these clearly tyrannical measures. But in general, no, I don't see it. So I'd really like to get your views on what it is that I've said. Some people may find it controversial. I'm sure some people absolutely hate me for what I've said. I don't care. I can see this clearly. And still, I keep saying it. When will anybody, and I mean anyone, provide an argument that is logical, that is convincing, that is backed up with facts, statistics, context, depth and breadth, that any of the measures that have been implemented wholesale in society in the last 12 months have been justified, let alone the ones that are having an absolutely terrible effect on children's psyche. Can someone respond to this and justify it, please? Right, okay. Please share this video with anyone you think may benefit, or with anyone who you think maybe needs to see the other side of the argument. I would really appreciate that. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll speak to you all soon. Okay, bye-bye.